Hey everyone, happy holidays. Christine here. I wanted to preface this episode just saying this is our special holiday edition of How to Survive Earth School. This will be a longer episode and it will take the place of this week and next week's episode. And we'll be back the following week with The Simple Life Part 2. So I hope you enjoy it. Have a safe and happy holiday, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Hi, I'm Janice Corsano, and this is How to Survive Art School. In this episode...
You get out, you can stay.
Because you didn't do that yet, but let me tell you, you're on thin ice.
Yeah, be careful what he's saying,
you're
too.
on thin ice, because I unconditionally love you until.
Yes. Perfect. It's so funny.
Which is part of why our families, like when we were talking about, the holidays in our families, why we actually stick it out more with them. So you and I were talking about the holidays, with the holidays coming up so fast. And it seems like the last few years, I don't know for you, but for me, that time just is going by so fast. And instead of feeling like everyone's enjoying the holidays, that it's more of a rush to try to get things done or try to get gifts or try to... And a lot of traditions are changing, which is actually kind of good when I think about it. It's... instead of doing everything the way that you did before, that you're so overwhelmed and sick and tired of doing it that way because it wore you out, that you're, trying to do something different, or you change that tradition, or you're not doing that this way, you're changing it to do something that's maybe a little bit easier for you or more fun. Because the whole spirit of the holidays, to me, is to spend time with people you care about, that we wish that we could do more of.
So, but part of me, it's funny because you were talking or maybe 2 times ago about just giving up, and a part of me feels like the not going into the sort of crazy, going into the malls and just being nuts about it, and throwing caution to the wind, because I'm not doing that this year. But a part of me feels sad about that.
Interesting.
Not decorating, not going crazy,
it's not that you can't go crazy. It's more that the idea would be to whatever feels good to you. So if we go all the way the other way, it would be the same thing as going, too extreme, and doing nothing is also extreme.
But what about when it just feels like, because part of it for me just feels like I don't have the time or the resources, to do what I want to do. Because I would do those, I might get people some nicer things or some more things, or I might, spend more time decorating, but I don't feel like I have the time,
That's a big problem. You don't have the time.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. It's what is the priority here? So is it, the priority would be either we really want to do that and we put that in as a priority, and then we'd have to take something else out. It would be okay, at this time of the year, that's my priority. And maybe you get, some people to help, because a lot of times it's more fun. To me, I don't want to decorate the Christmas tree unless I have people to decorate it with. It's not as much fun to do. I'd like to bake cookies. Every year I'd like to bake cookies, and a lot of times it doesn't happen to the degree that, we might bake some here and there, but not because, to the degree that I would like to, have a baking night.
Right. And that feels like part of it too. I mean, for me, and maybe for other people too, but I don't have a family. I have my parents, which I'm very grateful to have, to still have them and to be able to spend the holidays with them. But, I don't have kids, or I don't have I'm not married or anything. So to not have, sort of that, I don't know, those relationships to, I don't know, explore the holidays. Because, with the tree, it's okay, that's great. I'd like decorating the tree, but you're right. It would potentially just be me doing it, unless I guess I invited friends over. But even so, Christmas morning, it's not Santa's not going to come. I'm past, past the point where I, am doing that.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean Santa's not going to come?
I
Santa
mean,
always comes.
if Santa comes
Uh-huh.
and I'm just a single person living alone, I might have to call the cops and not. It's not gonna be like a Christmas cheer thing. At
do you
this
mean?
point, yeah.
Santa always comes.
Yeah.
I remember when the kids were little and they said to me that someone told them that Santa didn't exist.
Mhm.
And I said, what do you mean Santa doesn't exist?
Mhm.
That's news to me.
Yeah.
And I said, well, wait, people helping each other, like somebody you don't know giving gifts to other
Mhm.
people,
Mhm.
that's Santa. I said, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
How
Oh,
does
that's
Santa not
nice.
exist?
Yeah, I remember like grilling my dad. Like I went full like detective on my father about Christmas and Santa, and like sat him down like a pad and pencil. Was like, all right,
Give me the
all right,
911, the 411.
give him a four. Yeah, have you seen this man?
Have you seen him? What does he look like, really?
Yeah.
And when's he come, really? What's really going on?
It is a yeah. Don't mess with me, pops.
And did he give you the scoop?
No, my dad, his only reply was, that the spirit of Christmas was real, and that, the spirit of Santa or Saint Nicholas was real. And that's like kind of all. And I was like, but tell me more about this person who supposedly. So, but it was a nice.
But that's
You know.
actually what we're missing right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that we're trying to get back, the spirit of. Because
Mhm.
all these things would be the spirit of, like what's in the spirit of. And we're so used to the material side of it. It's like you decorate, and decorating gives you a feeling.
Mhm.
Like we're trying to get the spirit,
Mhm.
like the decorating gives you the spirit in some ways. But right now it may not. Right now it may be, like to the degree. Like I
Mhm.
used to decorate the whole outside of the house, and when it stopped being fun,
Mhm.
and then I stopped doing it. Although I miss having the lights out there.
Mhm.
So I just drive around and find other people's lights that actually were able to do that.
Yeah.
And it's fun,
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I'll sit in front there's a beautiful house that's not too far from here that I see all the time. And I'll
Mhm.
sit in front of their house and just look at their lights and be like, oh, that's so beautiful, thank you.
Mhm.
Like, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
So that feels community-like to me. Like the idea that you really could, like you can, a lot of times, like, if the kids don't, live home, a lot of times they go to their family's house and they all sleep over and they, get up in the morning and they do something together. And if not, like they go to their friends, or, they have like a friend thing if people aren't around. You
Mhm.
are lucky that you do have your family, that a lot of people don't.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of people that are by themselves for the holiday, and they could do something. Like there's a lot of people that are alone that don't have to be alone.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I invite a lot of people, like on Christmas Eve, that would normally be alone,
Mhm.
because we have. To me, it's more of a celebration that you get to see everybody, that you hang out and enjoy and have some good food,
Mhm.
and Christmas always meant to me the idea of celebrating, which is supposed to be the birth of Christ. And to me, that was the celebration of life.
Mhm.
The celebration of life, that we all came here together to learn and grow and to do something better. And what better way than to be together and to enjoy each other's company,
Mhm.
and to start celebrating that way than to, and the gifts thing, it's nice getting people gifts. It feels nice. It does.
Mhm.
It feels nice. But at the same time, most people don't really care about the gifts. Most people, as their love language isn't a gift.
Mm. Right. Well, but it's funny because like the gift thing for me isn't about receipt.
No, it's the
It's
most
more giving. Like I
right.
would like.
Most people.
That's where I get
Yeah,
hung up on it.
but most people, as when we talk about love languages, sometimes you and I will,
Mm.
and when we talk about, to me, it's about the gift more as the doing of going out and doing that.
Yeah.
Like, so the idea of going out and doing that,
Mhm.
I like doing that. Like I like doing, like the way that I feel loved is if you do something for me.
Mhm.
So the gift is more in the doing, that you
Mhm.
thought of me and you went out and did something, but it's
Mhm.
not in the price.
Right. Yeah, and that's it's not that I don't get that. It's just when
But that's lack though. That's you feeling lack.
right, and maybe that is part of it. Cuz I've done things in the past where I have
I love when you make things.
yeah, like I'll make things. I'll make, when I
That's
made
the most.
soap
I
and
know, but that's to me the most like you make me some soap. I'm like thrilled because you actually went out of your way and did something that's way more than somebody going to a store and necessarily buying something.
right. Well,
You know,
and
it's
that
like
and that might be more possible. It's feeling, and and I am, and it might be the lack thing,
because that's what it feels like
but
when you're talking about it, like being able to go and buy stuff. You know, kids tend to expect things for Christmas,
mm,
but do adults expect things for Christmas?
mm,
And we're gonna say, yeah, they probably do now.
mm,
But do we really care anymore to the degree that we get them if it's going to put a burden on somebody?
mm-hmm.
It's more like, no, I want time. Like, everybody keeps asking me, can we have time together? I don't want anything for Christmas. I want time.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest gift.
Yeah, I actually would love, because even on the holidays, or even if we're celebrating something like a birthday, with my family, it really, there isn't a lot of time where we just sit all together because someone's cooking or we're going out to eat and we have to get there, like find a parking spot or whatever we have to do. And it's, kind of like, everyone becomes sort of a stress case over it.
Getting there.
Yeah, over it just being their idea of what the perfect,
Right.
so when there's any sort of hiccup, it's
And
like,
stressful and
yeah, instead of us
just get ruined.
yeah, instead of just being present with each other, and like, because it's so funny, like even just I think on the blog we talked about you know one way to give without this was for for over Thanksgiving. One way to give would be just to sit and tell stories,
Yeah.
because it's so funny, like I don't even think, at least like my parents, realize like how very little I know about their lives growing up and what they did. I've heard a few stories like multiple times, but I haven't really heard a lot. And that would be such a great way. Like, I'd love to just know more about them. And
Yeah.
and it's kind of this funny thing where we never get to that, or I don't know if they just don't like talking about, themselves or what, but
Well, they might not think you'd be interested. Like a lot of times when we talk about the perception of, telling old stories, a lot of people are like, I don't want to hear your old stories again. Because how some
right.
people talk about themselves like their old stories all the time.
Well, yeah, I
So
guess.
they
Yeah.
may, from their perspective, they may think you guys wouldn't necessarily want to talk about that. So you might ask them, like, tell me about, we really want to know about, like, when you guys were little, what was your traditions? What did you do? What was it like when you were little to, what was it, what did you think about Santa? What did you think about, how were you
Yeah.
taught about this?
Mhm.
Because it helps you know more about you and the beliefs and where we got them and how we actually became, with the programs that they have. We have the same programs. We do them a little bit different, because we're all individuals and unique. But we picked our parents for a reason, and that reason would be nice when we start to, like, enjoy them as the people that they are and how they became that way. Because we keep thinking that they're parents instead of people, and that they all went through so much, and the way
Yeah,
that
they should
saw
know better.
Yeah.
But
that as an adult now, that you've had that much experience and you're still doing the same thing. I mean, with my family, with my mom not being here, physically, she's here spiritually all the time, but it's physically, it changed a lot in the last 8 years. And with my dad, without my mom being around, is very different. And, he's having his own issues and stuff, so I don't get to see him very much. So it's, one of those things, like you go to, like, having two parents to having no parents. And for most people, that would be, like, really horrific instead of understanding, like, they're people. My dad's not trying to not be a parent. And, he's, feeling all kinds of things, which is one of the reasons why he doesn't want you to see him like that. He's feeling depressed, or he's feeling sad, or he's feeling lack, or he's feeling like he can't be the person that he was before.
Mhm.
So if he can't show up like that, and
Mhm.
I've told him many times, Dad, I don't care,
Mhm.
but it matters to him. Like, it's important to him.
Mhm.
So if he can't be the person that he was before and show up that way, then and I keep telling him hiding isn't actually, like I tell everyone, he can't hide. At some point he's going to have to come out of hiding at some point and deal with all this, but he tends to like to hide and doesn't want anyone to see.
Mhm.
Um, is that helping him? No, because,
Mhm.
he's probably getting more sad and more depressed and not being around his family. And it's not that I don't call him and try to talk to him once in a while, but it's like, Dad, come over,
Mhm.
and it's interesting. Like, a lot of people, like, where did he spend Thanksgiving? I don't know. He was, supposed
Oh,
to be
yeah.
here, but who
Mhm.
knows where he was.
Right. Right.
He could have been home by himself and, feeling sad and depressed that, he can't go to his family when he can.
Mhm.
But that's when we talk about perception and illusion, about what's really going on.
Mhm.
Would he have to do that, and does it have to be sad? And is there people that, are waiting? There's a lot of people, and we have a big family, and we don't get to spend as much time with them. And my brother was even saying it. He's like, I miss all of us being together so much. And, it's like everyone went off the deep end. And I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, we have a lot of people going off the deep end, and they have to learn and grow. But there's a separation thing that's happening too, with the energies that, you and I talk about a lot, with how we're separating out and stuff. And some people will be in the higher vibration, and some will be in the lower vibration. And it's not that they have to stay there or anything. It's more that, whatever level we're on that we're learning,
Mhm.
is fine. And there'll be people that won't be a part of your life so much anymore, and they can catch up really fast. But if you're in a higher vibration, then if things are changing. If you're in a lower vibration, things are changing.
Mhm.
It's all good, because family is what we actually make of them, and family is, for us, our greatest teachers.
Mhm.
People that are close to us, they're our greatest teachers, because we usually can't get rid of them. I mean, people do get rid of their families,
Right.
but
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
most part, we don't tend to.
Mhm.
And if we do, then we still have to think about it, and there's a lot more
Mhm.
than just a friend or somebody. Because we could get rid of a friend way easier
Mhm.
than we could be like, okay, I'm not seeing those people anymore, those families,
Right. Right. Right.
those family people.
What about well, it's funny you're talking about that, and I was thinking of, for all the parents out there, to, like, when you say you choose your parents, that also means that your kids chose you. So
Yes, they did. We chose each other, and it's, normally it's funny because, in the way that I believe about, past lives and us being here more than one time, that, they could have been the parent last time, or they could have been my
Mhm.
sister or my brother, or, so
Mhm.
I tend to think of them more as, when I look at them as people and what we're doing here, learning and growing, and helping each other through these things, that you're going to be my teacher regardless.
Mhm.
You're my kid this time.
Mhm.
Does that mean that I'm going to act like an adult all the time, and,
Mhm.
you not look at me and go, Mother, you're nuts.
Mhm.
Like, what are you
Right.
doing?
Right.
Because we're pushing each other's buttons so that we
Mm.
could actually, see it and hopefully be able to learn and grow from it.
Right.
And we do tend to, when we love some people, we love some people, we love everybody that's when we tend to not like some family members more and like some other ones more,
Mhm.
but we do tend to stay with family longer, and we'll work harder. Which is why, like, in relationships with marriage and stuff, it's like when we're married, we usually will tend to try to work harder on that
Mhm.
than we would if it was something that, is a friend, and we're like, nope, they just did that one too many times. And
Yeah.
but with
No
family,
more. Mhm.
with family, we'll kind of, keep going,
Mhm.
and that's kind of the point, where, we could get out at any time. And we
Mhm.
were talking about this just, I think, the other day, when I was saying, like, you could get rid of all the people, you're still getting the lesson, you'll get other people to do it.
Right, that's an interesting one, because we've talked about that in the past, like, that you would you tend to repeat the same, experience, just because of the way you see what how you interpret what somebody's doing. So, and it really has nothing to do with what they're doing, because they may not be meaning it that way at all.
And
But,
most of the time they're not.
and they don't, but you see it, and you see, it's something as silly as they, like, close the door instead of holding it open, and all of a sudden it brings up all your stuff, like how you you don't feel loved or whatever. So
Right.
yeah, so then you kick that person out of your life, and the next thing you know, you've made a new friend, and that new friend does the same thing, and who also
And they
didn't mean
might
it that way.
and might do it a little differently. So they might do it in a way that those people might have held the door. So you went, oh, they hold the door, but then they actually did something different that
Yeah.
has the same feeling, and you're like, see,
They didn't pull out my chair. Those
it's funny,
assholes.
but that's where the feeling comes up. That's
Yeah.
why when we talk about feelings as the illusion, like that's the part that says that's what the program is. Like, no, you did this to me. It's like when the person, most people are surprised. Like, no, that's not. I wasn't trying to do that. Why are you so upset? Like,
Right. But then what happens too, because we've talked about this in the past, and I'm actually starting to get the hang of it, right, is that like, but nobody's having that conversation about how it actually made them feel. Instead, they're just like reacting and responding and getting angry, instead of saying like, oh, when you did that thing, it really made me feel like this. Is that what you wanted to do? And they'll be like,
What?
if you said that, they'd be like, what? No, I wasn't.
no, that's not what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
But that's true. Most people aren't communicating from the level of the root. They're communicating from the reaction.
Yeah.
And the reaction that hit that button that they
Right.
don't even know is that button.
Right, which they would, potentially, like instead of saying like anything about the door being held or not held, they just say you're an asshole.
Yeah.
And
And
like,
then if they said, well, why are you calling me an asshole?
Mhm.
And they'd be like, well, you didn't hold the door, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you didn't do oh, I'm supposed to hold the door for you every single time the door opens? What are you, a princess?
yeah, like, yeah, and it hits
'Cause then you
them.
hit their buttons.
Yeah.
And then we have the virtual fight of who's doing what and why and when, and you don't do it for me, so why in God's name should I do it for you?
Right.
And all the things that get thrown back and forth instead of what really is going on. And both of them would probably have the same thing. See, you don't give a shit, you don't care.
Yeah, you don't care. I care so much. You don't care. And it's like this funny thing.
And no one knows that that's what it's really about. Because
Yeah.
most fights are about caring.
Yeah.
It's really
can
makes
see
me
that.
laugh. It's like, see, you didn't do that, and it's because you don't care. If you cared, you would have known.
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't even tell the other person what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had the funniest one when someone said to me, no, they're supposed to know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, how would they know?
Yeah. How
If
are
they don't do it the
yeah.
same way as you,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people don't.
Right. Well, and everyone assumes that people really, I think, assume that everyone else
Does
sees
it,
things
right,
the same
same
way
way.
they do. And like that's such a huge learning curve to realize that no, like you see things really potentially really differently depending on, where that person grew up, who their family was, how they learned what they learned about life, or relationships, or what their role is.
Yeah,
It's
no.
really interesting.
Most people can't argue with your feelings,
Mm-hmm.
but if that's your intention, and some people that is their intention because they're hurt. Hurt people do hurt people.
Oh, to hurt. Yeah, so because what you'll say a lot is that most people aren't trying to hurt, they're not actually trying to hurt you, but if they're trying to hurt you, it's because typically they feel hurt, or else they're mentally not all there,
Right.
which does happen too. But
Yeah, absolutely. But
but-
most people, the reason that we're hurting, and it doesn't have to be the person that hurt us to begin with,
mm-hmm.
but because we've been hurt, if we see that,
Mm-hmm.
then we go after them. So the idea that if somebody that didn't hold the door for us
Mm-hmm.
really hurt us, then when we see that may be the anchor that reminds us of all the stuff that happened with the other person, and now we're really on guard,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're going to be hyper vigilant to really watch that person even more so. We'd be like, oh, see, those qualities are somewhere. Okay, you're going to watch to make sure that they're... And their intention, just like probably the other person's intention, wasn't to hurt them,
Mm-hmm.
but it felt like that.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's like, no, I'm going to hurt you. See, you're already doing that. And you'll get cranky and miserable and, like over the door, but it's really not about the door.
Yeah, it's about it might not even be about the person in front of you. It might be about it's
Yeah.
funny. Like it could be. I was reading the other day that our perception of a person will. It was in. It might have been Psychology Today or someplace, but that our perception of a person, like our first impression, will be influenced by where we are when we meet them. So if you meet someone in a coffee shop, if you're holding like a warm coffee, you're
Yeah.
more like to associate that person with like warmth
Warm.
and good
Mm-hmm.
things. But if you meet someone on like a rocky like boat,
Mhm.
you might think that that person isn't like
Right.
reliable, like, and completely
Yeah,
arbitrary.
completely. Yeah, completely wouldn't be make any sense.
Yeah.
But because however our brain works in that
Mhm.
way, and there's so little known about really how we work.
Mhm.
Like how our brain works. But what's amazing about it is that we would never know that we would do that.
Right, you wouldn't be thinking, oh, well, I did meet that person on a boat. Maybe
Hmm.
they're more reliable than I gave them credit for. You'd think.
And most people, only give like that first impression
Mhm.
as if that's the only impression, and they could be having a bad day.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
If you meet somebody and your first impression is they're miserable,
Mhm.
and because they're having a bad day,
Mhm.
and then you label them that the whole time, and we always talk about taking off labels of people, then we'll see the other qualities they have.
Right, and it's funny, yeah, because even your impression that that person's just an angry person,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's almost like you could bring that out of them by just the way you're acting towards them, because now you think that about them, so you don't give them the time of day, so they get angry, or whatever the thing is that causes it, but...
No, that's totally true.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Wow.
no, it's true. Meaning that once we label someone something, right?
Mhm.
So if we say they're angry and they're mean and they're self-centered and they're selfish,
Mhm.
that would be the thing we see most from them.
Mhm.
But we wouldn't know that we're doing something that's helping that bring that out in them.
Mhm.
That I'm sure they have way other qualities than that,
Mhm.
and other people would see the other qualities, and we probably would never see them because once we label somebody something, that would be what we actually say and see with them all the time.
Wow.
So that's why when we talk about, take the labels off, you're going to put labels on somebody, give them different ones. And when people do that, I had somebody do it with their boss,
Mhm.
and their boss was driving them crazy.
Mhm.
And, constant, it was constant. And, she had labeled the boss
Mhm.
all these, horrific things, and that's what he was starting to become.
Mhm.
And when she changed it, and she was very good, like, some people, it's very hard for them to take the labels off, but she was very good with being able to do it.
But what does that mean? Does that mean like going in every day and being, or like, is it like an affirmation, like saying?
No, what she did was I said, instead of seeing your boss with those labels that you had given him, I said, take those off and let's give him labels, that he's helpful, that he's there for you. Because what's the point of your boss? You want him to be helpful. You want him to be someone that's there for you, that you can talk to, that's nice, that, has, that you have easy conversation with. And she was able to see how that made sense and could do it pretty easily. And within less than a week, her boss was totally different.
Wow.
And he stopped calling her every day, checking up what she was doing and blah, 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 blah. And, and then she would only hear from him once in a while, and he would, be talking to her very nicely and, checking in on things as if they were equals, not as if he was her boss, more so the way that she would have, liked. And it was, all she did was change the labels that she had put on him, because he had plenty other qualities, but she didn't see any of them. Once she labeled him, and the more she labeled him, the worse he was getting, where it was to the point where he would call her every day. And part of that had to do with what she was doing without her realizing it. However she's talking to him, getting irritated, and even though she doesn't realize it, there might be a tone, or there might be something that she's feeling, or
Right, or just her energy. Like,
yeah, that's what I mean, like the energy that she was giving off would
sure.
say, okay, all right, well, I better call and check up on her again. Like
she's
whatever it is.
putting out some sort of weird distress signal he can't interpret.
And he's
not seeing it as her being annoyed with him. He's just saying, like, something's going on over there.
Going on, so let me check in and make sure that's okay, because, she's handling this big thing, and, so once that happened, and she was probably one of the best at it, because, people have a hard time taking the labels off.
Yeah.
They're like, no, that's real, and the person's like that. And it's not that people don't have that. I mean, we all have all qualities. Like, we all can be mean. We all can be angry. We all can be sad. We all could be, but we do have, most of the time, most people do have all the other qualities too. Can be loving, sweet, caring, thoughtful. And if we give them, at least if you can't take them off, at least give them the other ones too. Then you have more of an option to see more of those. So if you start off with, no, I can't take all those off, fine, then at least start giving them some good ones. Giving them some positive ones.
Okay. What if so like recently I've had like a few experiences with people, like, friends or family, where I've felt like very much so like that they're just being like very inconsiderate, and I recognize that has to be me not caring about, feeling uncared about thing. So in some ways I guess maybe it's not worth talking about it, but I do I am interpreting what they're doing, and even so much so that like some things that they'll say, like if it feels not nice, like it feels mean, and I don't know if it's them doing it or if I'm doing it.
Well, funny, because it would probably be a combination, because remember, we're co-creators.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're co-creating, it would be, so say if you're feeling like people are not caring,
Mm-hmm.
and that's your lesson that you're trying to learn right now, then they would all have to start to show up more like that, because everything's getting so big.
Okay.
So you could see it, so it would have to look like that more.
Yeah, like people really close to me who I wouldn't think would
Right.
act like that.
Are starting to act like
They're
that.
acting like that, yeah.
Which would actually make sense. If we're trying to learn something, it has
Yeah.
to get big enough so it gets our attention.
Mm-hmm.
And then you knowing more about the work, that's the idea where we don't take it personal, where we start to stop and go, wait a minute, these people don't act like this normally, and to the degree they're acting like this, and I'm the common denominator. Hold on.
Right.
So what's it trying to help me to learn? And if they are acting like that, like what's going on with them?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's two things, like something's going on with, and there's a lot of things going on with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're still, like you said, if I'm not talking to them about how I'm really feeling or how that makes me feel,
Mm-hmm.
then they may not even know.
Right.
Everyone's, so stressed, as we talked about a lot. Like, the
Mhm.
stress level is so high, and most people don't even know they're stressed
Mm-hmm.
to the degree that they really are, and tired and exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And that feeling that they have, and the way that it's making you feel, they might feel the same feeling, which is why you're getting the tone or whatever. They might feel so,
Right.
overwhelmed with what's going on in their life,
Mm-hmm.
that it's like one more thing. Like, you might be saying one more thing to them that's like, oh, see? And that's because you're hyper vigilant now on that not caring part. That
Yeah.
you would hear what they said way stronger
Mm-hmm.
to prove that than you would at a different time if you weren't,
Mm-hmm.
in that lesson right now.
Right. Okay, yeah. I mean, at least in one case, I can see that the person who has like said the mean things, like recognizes that they've said it,
Mhm.
and like will either apologize or like try to like. But it's funny because I see them beating themselves up about it. Like I feel like they feel like it's proving some belief about them.
Oh, absolutely.
Like not being inconsiderate or not being inconsiderate, but like more.
Well,
Like
probably
I don't know. I don't
like
think
probably
about
being,
people or
yeah,
something.
like probably being self-centered and selfish.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah.
Because
definitely.
that's the one that when, people say that's like, oh, yeah, I'm being mean, and because I just had
Like,
a bad day.
I'm an idiot. Like I
Right.
said something dumb. I
Yeah.
know that was potentially hurtful.
And I did it anyway.
Yeah, and I did it anyway. Like what's
So
wrong
that's-
with me?
Yeah, so there's the something wrong with
Yeah.
me thing.
Yeah.
But everybody uses whatever,
Mm-hmm.
So if you're saying, like, the person says it, and you're like, yep, they did say that, and they actually realize that they did say it,
Mm-hmm.
then they start going like, well, I'm not a nice person. I'm not a good person then, because I deliberately was
Mhm.
being mean.
Mm-hmm.
Why were they deliberately being mean? It was like, well, if they think about it, because I'm hurt, or something hurt me, or something that reminds me that you said,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm already in a phase of feeling hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sick and tired of taking everyone's bull, and you said one thing,
Mm-hmm.
and there you go. Now you
And-
got it all.
yeah, and the levees have broken.
And now you got them all, and that's kind of what's happening with everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone's so sick and tired, and that's why we say, like, give up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, give up the bullshit, like, give up on the illusion. Like,
Mhm.
those things aren't really happening. And yes, things really happen, meaning, do people say mean things?
Yeah,
Yes,
people
they
say
do.
people will say. I mean, it's hard to misinterpret. You're an asshole, which no one has said to me, thankfully. But using that example,
But if someone says you're an asshole,
Mhm.
that has to do with them also.
yeah,
And the idea that someone would get to that point and say that to you.
Mhm.
It's like, are we doing something? What are we doing? Are we
Mhm.
acting like an asshole
Mhm.
at that moment? Or is the person just, flagrantly just throwing out you're an asshole for
Right.
no reason?
Mhm.
And for the most part, most people don't do
Mhm.
that. But there's now, with everything being the way that it is, the hyper-vigilance of us watching everybody and being so afraid of each other as
Mhm.
far as, love and letting people in and trusting them, and our lessons are so big and they're in our face, that we are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and we
Mhm.
want change. We just want it the way we want it.
Right. We don't really. Yeah. What always think is funny. It's like that. I don't remember who said it. It might have been Einstein. Yeah, it was Einstein. You can't fix a problem
yes,
using.
from the same,
Yeah.
you have to, and I say it all the time, you can't fix a problem from the same place it was created. You have to go to a higher level.
Yeah.
And most people are trying to basically, that's why the loop,
Yeah.
like we're in a loop.
You have to change, and that's it too. Is like people would like to have change without changing anything,
Yes.
Like, well, I know that because I've been there. Like, this is not
Right. I would like to have this happen, and I don't want to exercise.
yeah. I would like to be a size 4,
Yeah.
but
I don't
would
want to
like
eat anything different, and I don't want to exercise.
Yes. Where's my magic pill?
Exactly. I want, that's much better.
Yes.
You can have it now.
Yes. Yes. Magic pill, please.
And now, just people say, can you just sprinkle some magic dust on me? And said, as much as that would be great if I could do that, what would be even nicer is if you do it yourself and do the work, because you don't need me, and my job is to help teach you, not to make it so that you need me for anything.
Yeah.
Like so that you could learn and grow. So
Yeah.
that
We don't want a Janice addiction.
right. I don't. I want people to be able to say, wow, I know how to do that now. I can see that now, and I can understand that, and I can see how my perception is different, and then you could take that and apply it in your life everywhere. So that you can stop a little bit and be like, wow, let me talk to them a little bit differently, or let me understand, or wow, this is showing up and it's the same thing over and over. Okay, I'm the common denominator. What's going on? What's this trying to help me with?
It's so funny though, because even just like, with the stress book, which we're writing, everyone.
Yeah.
Janice has a stress book coming out sometime in the next 5 years, if we could ever stop editing it. But
Yeah, it should be out.
not a stress book, a stress relief book. It's not intended.
It's not intended to stress you out. It's intended to help you get unstressed. We got enough of this stressing out.
Right, but it's even in writing that, it was funny because, like, okay, so I'm the common denominator. I'm continuously seeing other people, I'm taking what they're saying really personally, that they don't care.
Why?
Yeah, why? Like, okay, I know that. Now I know that. Like, what do I... So what do you do from there? Okay, I see that I'm doing this. What do I do from here?
The first thing that you do is, and you said, awareness, because awareness is 99% of this. And then you actually go back and say, like, okay, why would I think that people wouldn't care about me? What is it about me that I think that people wouldn't care? Because you start asking questions like, where did I get that? Because when you start questioning yourself, it's like you usually learned it somewhere. Like, when you were young, when in that 0 to 7 in printing phase, there's things that happened that would make it feel like people didn't care about us. And even though that wasn't the case, I'm sure they did. And even if they didn't, that still wasn't the case. There were still plenty of people that would have cared about you. But that's not the way we took it. So when it shows up in our life in this way, like where it's big and it's, when you start to realize that it's a taught thing, that you were more, it's the way you took it, it's more of the taught thing, that people really do care about you. And you could find many of them. We talk about proof of the opposite, that you start writing the proof of the opposite. It's like, look at all the times that they actually showed they cared.
Right, it's so weird. It's like, I know that, I've seen it, I can see that people are doing that, even like in the cases we're talking about, like 99 times out of 100, those people are doing really nice, and why is it the one time? So why do you want to keep it? I don't know, I don't know. It's really weird. It makes me uncomfortable.
Well, it's funny because it's a hard one to give up, because the idea that we would, that people would actually care about us, what does that mean?
I guess that we are worthy of caring. Like, yeah, it's like a worth thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you go like, okay, well, if I want to keep it, what do I want to keep it for? It has to be helping me in some way.
Right. We've talked about this before. Oh God, I'm getting all like weird and like,
oh shit,
I'm getting all wiggly. Like, oh God, we're getting close to something I don't want to address right now.
About that. See that?
I forget though. That is my thing, because I not secretly apparently, but subconsciously want to believe that there's something wrong with me, because that would explain why I'm such a fuck up.
And then that's a good reason.
Right. I'm not really a fuck up.
Right. And she's not. But the idea that we would feel that way.
Yeah. At least it's an excuse. It's an excuse.
It's a great excuse
for why my life is, not quote unquote, perfect.
And which is funny, because your life is perfect.
It is, yeah.
When we think about life being perfect or imperfect, it's like for whatever reason, it's perfect for what it is right now. You're trying to learn and grow through things. So,
Mm-hmm.
it may feel horrific at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
but in a lot of ways, it's perfect for you to learn this.
Yeah, well, I don't feel that way, but I do. We have talked about this before. I know that we have, and I guess a lot of people probably out there have hooked into this idea that there's something wrong with me.
Mhm.
And not because I really think that, but because if, there's just this like
No, we don't think it.
expectation. This is, where my life should be. It's not that way. What's an excuse rather than the fact that I just haven't done what I think I should?
Right.
The excuse is
There's something wrong
there's
with
something
me.
wrong. I'm not capable of it, and here's the proof. People
And
don't care
here's the
about
proof.
me. Yeah.
And that's why we keep it, because we're trying, we want an out. Instead of us just going, okay, well, maybe I didn't get there yet. It's all still
Or
available.
maybe I didn't want to do those things. Like
Absolutely.
that's,
And that's the part where we start looking at, it's like, what did I really want to do? And
Mhm.
maybe when I made those choices, 10 years ago, this is what I thought I wanted to do. Maybe that's not what we wanted to do.
Mhm.
I mean, that's a wonderful thing about change. Like, we get to change our mind. And what if we don't want to do that anymore? Why is it not okay?
Mhm.
What if we decide that, we want to have a family, but we want to do it later? Or maybe that if we wanted to have the family, we thought we should have had it, like at 25, I should be married and have kids.
Yeah.
If that didn't happen, then you did something wrong. There's something wrong with you, and nobody will care about you and love you.
Oh man.
And the truth
Mhm.
of the matter is that
Mhm.
that's not true.
Mhm.
It's like, that's the proof, though.
Mhm.
Because I said a thing of what's going to happen. And when that didn't happen, see, it showed yet again.
Mhm.
Because all we do is use proof all the time. We don't use the proof of the opposite as much. Where you have proof everywhere of the opposite, that you could have done that if you wanted to. That actually was something that was available to you.
Mhm.
But we would never actually see it.
Right. I would be. Well, and that's too like that feeling like, oh, I don't want to try. I don't want to try because if I fail,
Yep.
then I failed. So not trying protects me from failure. Whereas like what you'll say is that
Yeah, it's one less,
just it's
one
one
less
less
way
thing.
that we learned. It's
Okay.
like, wow, if I failed now, great. Then that's one less way to do that.
Yeah, okay.
I learned
that.
Yeah.
I tested that hypothesis. I don't do it that way.
Yeah.
But from
let
here,
me try the other ways.
I do it this way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there's a bunch of other ways.
Right.
And failure to me is a good word, meaning
Mhm.
that wow, I tried something
Mhm.
and it didn't work that way. Okay,
Mhm.
so let me see, what's the other ways I could do this if I
Mhm.
still want to do it?
Mhm.
What's the other ways? Because there's a bunch of them.
Mhm.
And God, if the most, if we're talking about Einstein, do you know how many times he failed?
Right. Yeah. I mean that's such a good thing to remind. That not even most. I think all of the people who are successful have failed. Yeah. Was it
so
like
many times?
J.K. Rowling like submitted Harry Potter to like 20 something odd publishers? I'm not sure if that's
True, but
totally true. It
but
might have been a
she
different
submitted
person,
them.
but
Yeah.
somebody.
That
I think
that had,
that is true. I think that
yeah,
it was.
I think
her.
it was her. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was. But that they've submitted their work to so many people, and she would think she failed until that one person, and then look what happened to it.
Yeah.
But that's also her belief in herself too. That
Mhm.
that maybe it wasn't worthy, and maybe as she was getting more angry
Mm.
as she was submitting it, and had worked so hard, that she was actually starting to be like, no. Damn it! Somebody's going to do this,
Yeah.
and someone's going to help me, and
Right.
someone's going to want this, and that energy that she put more towards it
Yeah.
actually helped them to see it a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, wow, yeah.
because there's sometimes that kind of thing can actually help us to create it more.
Yeah, you're like
Yeah.
adamant, like
Like
no.
use your anger for something good, to create
Yeah.
something better, instead of using my anger to beat myself up and say, see, it's a failure, it's a flop.
Yeah.
That maybe it isn't,
Mhm.
and maybe it's that you needed more energy and belief in yourself, and that when people kept saying no,
Mhm.
that you started to realize that no, I really think this is good, and that you started to believe in it.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's
It's
so
like once you
interesting.
believe in it, maybe
Mhm.
once you start believing in it a little
Mhm.
bit more, and start getting a little bit more, feeling more grounded about it, and be
Mhm.
like, no, I do believe in this. This does feel good to me, and this does feel right, and it does feel like it would work, and then somebody else can see it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I'm not hopeful anymore that this will get picked up by a publisher.
Mhm.
it's going to be picked up. Like, no,
Yeah.
like we've
I
done
know.
hopeful. We've done hopeful. Now it's time.
Now it's time.
Because this is ridiculous.
Yeah. And that's kind of, what's fun about the way that we can create. Like
Mhm.
we could use all of our emotions, but most of the time we use them to prove our stuff
Mhm.
that's negative.
Mhm.
Prove all the things that, instead of us catching it and being like, wow, that's me proving that no one cares about me again.
Yeah, why
And
am I
do I
doing
wanna,
that?
Yeah, and why would I want to keep it?
Mhm.
Because a lot of times we do want to keep them. It's funny because, like you said, they are an excuse for something.
It's a crutch, yeah.
And when we get to the bottom of what the excuse is, it's like, oh, because I feel like I wasn't worthy or I wasn't capable or I wasn't, there's
Mhm.
something wrong with me and I want to keep that.
Yeah, I need to keep that in.
I need an excuse.
Yeah.
If I fuck up, I need an excuse.
Right.
Instead of just being like, wow, I fucked up.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah,
What's
people
wrong with
fuck
that?
up. People fuck up all the time. Like,
We are human, and
Yeah.
the whole idea of being human means that we make mistakes, and
Mhm.
mistakes are good things. That's how we learn.
right.
So if you don't fuck up, what the hell are you doing here?
Yeah, well, yeah, I like that too, because you've said that before too, and maybe even in the podcast, I think maybe we've talked about it. Like, yeah, what if you're not here? If you knew everything when I think you did say that in the podcast.
If you knew everything, then what would you be doing here?
Yeah, like, oh,
If our whole idea would be here to come and grow and to learn, to love ourselves more and to be able to love ourselves and unconditionally love others,
Mhm.
you would have to screw that up a bunch
Mhm.
because we didn't just come in that way. If we already knew that, why the hell would we come?
Yeah, there'd
be no reason. I
I'm
can just test
gonna
that
be
out.
here,
Yeah.
and I
I'm
guess,
just going to test out how my unconditional love is. Yep.
Oh.
And then I'm going to screw it up a bunch of times to see that
Uh-huh.
it's not actually that good. Hold on, I need some work on it.
yeah, I'm gonna have to work on this.
I'm going to have to work on that unconditional loving thing. I don't actually unconditionally love anything. I conditionally love everything. It has a condition. You act like this, and I don't love you.
Yes, no, I give up. Yeah, you get out, and you get out, you get out. You
Right.
can stay.
Because you didn't do that yet. But let me tell you, you're on thin ice.
yeah. Be careful what you say
You're
and
on
do.
thin ice because I unconditionally love you until.
Yes, perfect. It's so
Which
funny.
is part of why our families, like when we were talking about, the
Mhm.
holidays and our families, why we actually stick it out more with them.
Mhm.
Because there's an unconditional love thing that's more so, like with our kids and,
Mhm.
with our families,
Yeah.
that we will actually fight for more of that with them.
Right.
With other people, we won't.
Sure.
So, that's like, no, that person, and we'll get everybody to help us,
Mhm.
be like, nope, that person is just
Mhm.
a miserable person. Now, they can be, and you don't have to be around them, but there's a certain point where, we keep running into them. It's like, wait, all right, I need to look at me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm the common denominator all the time here. Hold on.
Yeah, I can't.
It can't be every single person I meet is just this fucking bad.
Yeah.
Like,
Mother Teresa?
Yeah. She was horrible.
She was so mean to me. She made me feel like she didn't care about me.
She wouldn't even look at me. She didn't even shake my hand. She didn't say anything to me.
No.
She walked right by me like I wasn't even there.
Yeah.
And that could have actually happened.
Yeah.
Because-
Well, and it probably
did.
to some people.
It probably happened to some people,
Yeah.
and they would actually say the same. That they would have had
Yeah.
that thought. Like,
They're-
apparently, I wasn't worthy of her.
Yeah, their tell-all book is
Yeah.
coming. Mother Teresa, not as saintly as you think. She walked right past me.
Right past me. Like any one person could see every single person that they're around.
Yeah. Well, that's that first impression thing. Maybe they were on a boat when they met her.
Maybe.
It's a rocky boat.
Or in very cold weather, with snow up to their neck.
Yeah, they're gone. She's
You're like,
a
oh,
cold.
She's a cold-hearted woman.
She's so cold. Yeah. Gosh.
And with that, until next time.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
when the what's that? What they say in soap operas?
I don't know.
There's a thing that they say in soap operas. God, no, I forgot it. Which is like dun 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 dun. Until next time, when
Yeah.
Joey and Sally come together to figure out the fight that they.
Yeah. They meet in the back alley.
They meet in the back alley, so you'll then find out who is the winner of
boy.
that one.
Oh God.
So they just leave you hanging.
It's very dramatic.
Very dramatic. Very dramatic.
Is that what we're doing?
Yes, we're very dramatic now.
We're very dramatic leaving.
Well, we're not actually dramatic, but
No, we're pretty good.
yeah, we're just making jokes about being dramatic because people do
Most
like
people
drama.
are dramatic.
Yes, they're dramatic. And
Especially
they like
at the
drama.
holidays.
At the holidays. See the point made.
Yes, we can't. We made.
We made a long loop to get to the point that people are dramatic at the holidays.
Yeah.
Okay, so cut that out. How's that? Very simple. So
Yeah.
cut that out. Stop being dramatic. Stop being all drama queens. All people love you and care about you way more than you know.
Yeah.
So how about you start looking at the proof of the opposite and see how they actually been doing it.
Yeah, they're doing it. They're out
doing
there
it.
doing it, and
A
it's
lot.
okay.
And it's okay.
And don't, barricade yourself in your house. It's okay if you didn't get to get everyone everything you thought you should.
Yes.
Or if you didn't get everything you thought you wanted.
Right.
Just...
And be okay with the fact that you could see how much they do care.
Mhm.
Look more for that,
Mm-hmm.
not the proof that they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'd be surprised at how much proof there is that they do care.
Before you go, I want to remind you about Janice's 2 classes available on learnitlive.com. Energy Basics is the first class and explores our hidden connection to others. Energy Effects gives tips and tools so that you can protect yourself from emotional contagions. In January, Janice will be offering Creating Healthier Connections, a class which explores how to better manage your energy connection to others and create better relationships. Have a great new year, and we'll see you in 2016.